We will continue with the Digital Summit LATAM 2026 with the next keynote, Investment for the Networks and Technologies of the Future, with Ajit Pai, President and CEO of the CTIA. Ajit, welcome. Ajit, hello. Please.
Muchas
take a seat.
gracias.
Thank you. Ajit, thank you. Silencio, por favor.
Muchas gracias. Cuando me propusieron participar en este evento, para mí era una cuestión, no era una cuestión de opinión realmente. La oportunidad de venir a Madrid, a Jamón Ibérico, a mi museo favorito, el Museo Nacional del Prado, y sobre todo el alcalde del mundo, Karim Lacina. Es bueno estar con todos ustedes, amigos nuevos y viejos. And to avoid any more diplomatic incidents, I should probably follow in English from this point. It is great to be with all of you, to see some old friends. One of my favorite parts of being chairman of the Federal Communications Commission in the United States was the chance to collaborate with leaders, government and private sector, across Latin America. And because we shared a vision of digital opportunity for everybody in the Americas, from the top of North America to Ushuaia at the bottom of South America. Well, today I stand before you a little bit older, hopefully a little bit wiser. I've now spent almost half a decade in private equity, investing in digital infrastructure across North America and South America. And also, I'm now in a new role as the head of CTIA, the Wireless Association in the United States. And those two experiences will help inform what I talk about today. Now, in 2020, broadband and 5G dominated the discussion, and those topics are, of course, still very much with us. But now they are part of a broader conversation, as we heard during the previous panel. Today, we're more often thinking about connectivity as intertwined with the development of next-generation technologies like artificial intelligence. Now, AI is, of course, about processing data to help us become more productive, but it's also about reimagining how we connect people to networks and machines to machines. Now, the goal of this summit, according to the website, is to lay the foundations of Ibero-American connectivity and project Latin America's voice in the global digital economy. And in my view, that requires a concerted strategy across the Americas and across the technology stack. We have started calling this in the United States the AI stack. And behind the name is an important idea. We need to think holistically about all of the components of AI delivery, from models to semiconductors, to data centers, to fiber infrastructure, to applications, and to wireless connectivity, which we think is going to be the platform for AI use and development in the years to come. And this AI stack is one that is going to require massive investments of capital in each layer over time. My own view is that if we coordinate policies across the Americas, the benefits of the AI era can be trusted, secure, and ubiquitous. Together, we can build something far more powerful than any one nation could. Now, this AI stack is an opportunity for us to create platforms across the Americas that innovators can plug into wherever they are, from Sao Paulo to Buenos Aires, just as much as Austin or Seattle. And this would give every entrepreneur throughout Latin America a voice in the digital future, a chance to create. Now, as we proceed, we have to have open eyes that not every path to achieving this vision is the same. In my view, the primary way to finance the development of the AI stack must be private investment, backed when appropriate by organizations like CAF. And I say that in part because other approaches present serious risks, such as state-backed financing from nations with a history of compromising others' sovereignty. Among those risks, long-term dependency, exported innovation, and national security and cybersecurity challenges, just to name a few. And this raises the question then, how do we incentivize capital investment in various layers of the AI stack? Well, this is a topic too complex for 10 minutes, but I'll focus for a moment on two key components, fiber and wireless. Now, in terms of fiber, we are seeing network demands increase exponentially, not linearly. And that's only going to accelerate, of course, with AI. The massive amounts of data that will travel over networks to and from data centers and other digital infrastructure like wireless towers will need to be carried by fiber. Here, there is one and only one approach that will work. Companies and investors must find an adequate return on invested capital from the construction and operation of fiber. And that means that countries must streamline permitting and approvals. They must make it quicker and easier and cheaper to attach to utility poles. They must make it easier to lay fiber under the ground. They must say no to price regulation, to wholesale sharing obligations, and to onerous network management techniques. In short, companies and countries must have a very consistent level of regulation to ensure a business case for development. There is simply no shortcut here. As for wireless, as I mentioned, this is an important part of the AI stack. In fact, recently, Vodafone's CEO cautioned that European wireless markets could prove to be a bottleneck to the AI needs of this continent. And the same risk applies to our side of the Atlantic. If we don't get the case right for investment and innovation, we aren't going to see development on our shores either. Indeed, in the United States, we are now regularly hitting cumulative annual growth rate in data use of 35%, and that's before the AI revolution fully comes to pass. Now, the business case for wireless begins with spectrum, as is often the case. In the United States, the good news is the President and the Congress made bold steps last year, making available 800 megahertz of new spectrum. The President's AI Action Plan and 6G Race Memorandum last December lay out the decisive steps that we will now take as a nation in the United States. We're hard at work integrating those into a single policy, and that begins with the FCC, which will start auctioning spectrum again this year after an unfortunate 4-year lapse. There are also a lot of exciting developments in mid-band spectrum, C-band and 2.7 gigahertz. But for today, I want to focus on the opportunity to create key new global neighborhoods in 4 gigahertz and the upper 6 and 7 gigahertz. And as we look forward to the World Radio Communication Conference next year, which of course will be headed by Doreen Bogdan-Martin, I hope we can all find agreement on the opportunity in these bands to create hundreds of new megahertz of spectrum available to support our AI and 6G ambitions in the Americas. Europe has already stated a bold case for approximately 700 megahertz in 6 and 7 gigahertz, and we have 1 year to demonstrate the Americans also intend to lead on AI by leading in spectrum. We know that the countries that moved decisively to expand spectrum supply will be the ones most likely to win. But spectrum is only one part of the challenge when it comes to wireless. We will also need more network management capabilities as well. The complexity of these networks will exceed what engineers can manage themselves or optimize. And the beauty of AI is that it will help us solve the problems that it is creating. AI that is built into 6G networks, native AI networks, will orchestrate the traffic and allocate resources dynamically, all at machine speed. We expect at least a 30% increase in efficiency, and we're of course going to need every single one of those 30%. And here, yet again, we need to cut the red tape standing in the way of infrastructure, in this case, wireless infrastructure. In the United States, and perhaps in your countries as well, we still find states or even cities stopping or slowing down tower siting requests. And federal environmental and historic preservation reviews in the US have been misinterpreted to have the same effect. Just last month, a study showed that the average cost of preparing an environmental assessment for a single wireless siting application is over $15,000 per installation. On average, permitting slows down wireless installations by nearly half a year, costing consumers $1.3 billion. And the study also found that without reform, compliance costs will be more than $2.2 billion over the next decade, representing over $4 billion in restricted output and consumer welfare losses. Now, this puts America's global competitiveness at risk. US providers face higher costs and slower timelines compared to other countries like China, where state-owned enterprises are not subject to similar red tape. Ending these restrictions would save Americans over $7.5 billion and would speed up the deployment of infrastructure that will be critical to artificial intelligence. Now, these fiber and wireless reforms I've discussed are necessary to ensure that our networks scale as AI develops, because we know that AI is going to place increasing demands on those networks. And this is obvious from some of the most recent developments in AI, particularly agentic AI. That is, systems that don't simply answer a question that you ask, but actually take action to create. And following close behind that will be physical AI, robots that are interacting in real time with the real world. And to support all of this, we are going to need computing capability to expand and to evolve. Some AI processing will remain centralized in hyperscale data centers, and some will reside at the network edge. Some will be embedded in the device, of course. The network will need to tie it all together. That is the connective tissue of the entire ecosystem. And so if we get it right on fiber and wireless, we'll be closer to a leadership role for all of the Americas when it comes to AI. By the way, before I finish, one quick note about AI regulation. I'm strongly of the view that it is counterproductive for governments to strangle new technologies with what is often called the precautionary principle. This is the notion that the government should restrict or even stop the development of a new technology if anyone could be harmed by it. That bureaucrats should ban or slow down a technology until they decide that it is safe enough or useful enough. History makes it crystal clear. If you want your country or your continent or your region to succeed in AI, you cannot embrace the precautionary principle. It is far better for government to deal with problems on a case-by-case basis, based on real-world evidence, than to slow down development, artificially, which is ironic in this case, through regulation. Similarly, I do not believe that state or provincial governments should be in the business of trying to regulate AI. These are technologies that cross all kinds of borders and boundaries, and it follows to me that only national governments should set rules for the road. Moreover, coordination among countries is absolutely critical. Because let us be clear, the Americas will put ourselves at a disadvantage if we have multiple levels of review in multiple countries across our continents. And let us speak even more plainly. China is not imposing any of these restrictions on AI development, and it is very determined to dominate AI and all adjacent technologies, from 5G to submarine cables. And it will succeed if we are stuck in the starting blocks, waiting for regulators to make an informed judgment about LLMs that they barely understand. But that is not the future I expect. I expect a future of cooperation and collaboration across the Americas, one in which all of our people are able to succeed and thrive and create, ultimately, because of these new technologies and because of networks that are the envy of the world. And so my bottom line is this. We have the opportunity to build an exciting digital future together across the Americas. And I do stress together. Those of you who knew me in my previous role know that I take this role very seriously of collaborating across countries and with private and public sector officials alike. With the right incentives in place to invest across the AI stack, we can reach scale and we can lower costs for everybody. We can make it easier to build the fiber assets and to create the next generation wireless networks that will be critical for the development of AI and future technologies. I'm excited about this potential and hope to work with all of you to make it a reality for all of the people across Latin America. Thank you very much.